All right, and moving on, in May 2019, reports of state capture in Kenya started emerging. Inside Kenya's inability to fight corruption, which was published by Africa's Center for Open Governance, that is AFRICOG, highlighted the issue, outlining why former President Uhuru Kenyatta's anti-corruption measures were not working. This was attributed to state capture, where state institutions had been repurposed for private profiteering, mainly by the first family. The Kenya Kwanza government came into power under President William Ruto with the promise of ending state capture. Have they kept their word? Let us have a look. After the 2022 presidential polls, many Kenyans are yet to come to light on what transpired in the whole electoral process. Allies of President William Ruto seem to have backpedaled on their push for investigations into the 2022 elections and state capture amid rising concerns that it could be counterproductive.
The reason why the Shelela 4 were removed from office is because they questioned the process that the chairman used to declare the results.
The thing about politics is that you work with what you have, even as you strive to get something else. We work with the reality of what we have. And I think the reality as far as Kenyans are concerned is that the last election is over.
The move is seen as likely to scaffold the Kenya Kwanza government after the National Security Advisory Committee (NSAC) had been sucked into the events leading to the August 15th, 2022 declaration of the presidential results.
Hii serikali inanuka. Serikali inanuka.
The president has equally gone slow on the establishment of a judicial commission to probe alleged state capture by former head of state President Uhuru Kenyatta and his Jubilee government, which President Ruto promised to set up within 30 days after being sworn into office.
Wacheni kiburi, wacheni madharau, wacheni matusi, endeni mupange mambo ya serikali. Bei ya mafuta imepanda, wananchi wanataka iteremuke. Hii bei ya mafuta wameongeza mpaka mafuta taa. Walete bill next week waangushe bei ya mafuta. Hiyo sisi wabunge 150 wenye tuko mlengo wa naibu wa rais tutaunga mkono kuhakikisha bei ya mafuta taa ya petroli imeshuka, mwananchi wa kawaida asiumie. Au sio? We can no longer accept and we can no longer entertain the thought of increasing the prices of fuel products in the country of Kenya. We are giving them an ultimatum. Within one day, leo hii ikiisha, lazima waite mkutano wa dharura na waondoe hiyo maneno ya kuongeza kodi katika mafuta. Watu wetu ya bodaboda wanaumia, watu wetu wa matatu wanaumia, wameumizwa na corona, wako na loans kwa bank, and it is very, very uncouth for the government to purport to increase the prices of fuel products.
President, alongside opposition leader Raila Odinga, had pushed for plans for the formation of an inquiry into the conduct of last year's elections, as suggested by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC), but there are reports that the head of state had developed cold feet, as the move could be a double-edged sword.
We have had conflict at the commission between the secretariat and the commissioners. We have in case in 2013 of Hassan and Oswago. In 2017, we had the case of Wafula Chebukati and Ezra Shiromba that played in the...
The outcome of the inquest, which has also been requested by former IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati, could also be counterproductive to the commission if the fresh revelations by a whistleblower on the August 9th, 2022 results indicating Mr. Odinga won the polls are anything to go by.
Lakini yule whistleblower ametoa ukweli.
This is a negotiation that is going on between the opposition and the government. And why do I say this? My opinion, for the first time in the history of this country, we have an IEBC that literally doesn't have any commissioner. And we have a president who now has the capacity to actually constitute IEBC the way he wants.
Seriously, we have had a litany of conflicts at IEBC between the Commission and the Secretariat. We also had cases of conflict between Wafula Chebukati and the 3 other commissioners, Wafula Chebukati and Akombe, and finally Wafula Chebukati and the 4 commissioners. There must be something that is not right, either about the person who was holding the office or the structure, or both.
And I think this is a problem, because the first thing that the president has done is to explain to us that what IEBC requires is somebody like Chebukati, somebody who is not scared, somebody who is firm, somebody who can stand against pressure. That is an image that the government side has been trying to portray of Chebukati. That's why he has been given awards. That's why he's been fitted. That's why he's been celebrated. They want to create a profile of the kind of person they want in the next IEBC. On the other hand, the opposition has decided, apana, we are not going to allow you to determine the next IEBC.
Former United Democratic Alliance chairperson Johnson Muthama told the press that the probe wasn't a priority. He said, and I quote, "Forming a commission of inquiry now is not urgent, but it is the discretion of the president because he's the one being asked to form it." End of quote. Mr. Odinga had also backed the plans for the inquest into the 2022 polls, even calling for an independent audit of IEBC servers to ascertain claims by a whistleblower that he won the elections with 8,170,353 votes, consuming 57.3% against Dr. Ruto's 5,915,973, consuming 41.66%. President Ruto had in January indicated that he would set up a judicial commission to probe state capture in the previous regime, but would deal with other pressing issues first. Legislators in Dr. Ruto's Kenya Kwanza alliance have been rooting for the formation of an inquest on at the Bomas of Kenya last year, just hours before Mr. Chebukati declared Dr. Ruto the president-elect, but others seem to have started developing cold feet after Mr. Odinga also backed such calls.
Bwana Chebukati anakuja anasema mimi niko na matokeo. Wale makomishona waende nasema hapana, sisi tuko na matokeo mengine. Anakataa ati mimi ndiye mwenyekiti, yale ambayo mimi nitasema ndio ukweli. Akaenda akatangaza yale mambo yake. Lakini wale commissioners wanne ndio walikuwa wanasema ukweli.
And now opposition is going to come and start saying, no, Chebukati was a bad man, Chebukati is an evil person. I have had very many heavy words used against him. Because this conversation is not about Chebukati. This conversation is actually not about IEBC as we know it. This conversation is about the IEBC that is coming, that will determine the 2027 election. So what we are seeing is what the government side decided how they want to craft the IEBC, and the opposition side challenging how IEBC is going to be crafted. Unfortunately, the example being used is the last election. So we have Chebukati as a profile. One side says this is the kind of person we want. The other side has to counter and say this is the kind of person we do not want.
Kenya Kwanza Alliance said the president intends to run a united country and is not interested in exacting revenge on anyone. Orange Democratic Movement has insisted on the need for a commission to unearth the truth about what transpired in the elections. For Maisha Prime, Maisha Television, I'm Bushebi Jr.